Hi, my name is Julia Costa, and I will be presenting on the three main ways to make sparkling wine. So what is sparkling wine? Sparkling wine is a wine with high levels of carbon dioxide made outside of the Champagne region of France. Sparkling wines can be made all over the world and have different names. Sparkling wine is often referred to from where the wine originates, like Cava from Spain, Espumante from Portugal, and Prosecco from Italy. The carbon dioxide, in other words bubbles, are created in three main ways. One of the three major ways to make sparkling wine is through carbon dioxide injection. Sparkling wine can be made by manually injecting the carbon dioxide into the wine. The wine that's utilized has already gone through a primary fermentation. Fermentation is the process of making wine in which sugars are converted into ethanol alcohol with the utilization of yeast. This method is the same as making your favorite soda fizzy and creates large bubbles that quickly dissipate. This method is used in bulk and lower quality wines. The following is a graphic of carbon dioxide injection. They start with base wine and they mix it together to make the blend that they want. They then take this wine and put it in a tank and add the amount of sugar they want, depending on the variation of sweetness they want to make it. And then they add the CO2. It's a very similar process of how you make Coca-Cola. Once this process is done, they immediately bottle it. By doing it this way, their costs are much lower and they're able to sell it for a cheaper price. The second major process of making sparkling wine is through Charmat. Charmat process utilizes a secondary fermentation inside a pressurized still tank. Secondary fermentation is the process of taking a finished wine and fermenting it a second time. Processing time inside the tank is normally around 10 days. The bubbles produced are smaller than carbon dioxide injection and typically last longer. The following graphic shows you the Charmat process. They take sugar, yeast, and the base wine, and they mix it together, blending it where they put it in a pressurized steel tank. Once it's inside the tank, it stays in there for about 10 days to go through the secondary fermentation. After this, they filter it to get all the sediment and other stuff that you wouldn't want to put in a bottle of wine. After this, they bottle it, and they add the dosage, which is putting in any types of sugar or anything they want to do to stabilize the wine once it's in bottle. The third major method for making sparkling wine is traditional method, or method champenois. Sparkling wine produced via traditional method is where the secondary fermentation takes place in a bottle. This method allows for a higher pressure buildup and carbon dioxide content. The bubbles from this method are the smallest of the three that I've presented on and last the longest. This method is primarily used for higher end wines. The following graphic shows you the traditional method. So the wine is going to go through a primary fermentation. Once this, you're going to add sugar, yeast, and any additions to the wine. It is then bottled and it is crown capped, and this is where it's going to go through its secondary fermentation. These bottles are put on their side where they're aged anywhere from 3 months up to 5 years. You do this depending on how quickly you want, a turnover of the wine, whether you want it to be a vintage or not. The longer it rests on the lees, which is, the yeast sediment, the different characteristics the wine profile has. Obviously, the longer it rests on the lees, the more distinct it is. After this, you're going to riddle it, which is either the process of hand turning it over a period of 3 weeks, or in a riddling machine, which takes approximately a week, where you're taking all the yeast and sediment and removing it from the bottle and getting it down into the top bottom of the bottle where the cap is. So these bottles are upside down, and you're going to freeze them where you're creating an ice plug to trap all of that yeast and sediment. You are then going to disgorge it, which you pop the crown cap. It shoots out the plug, and you're left with nice clear bottle of sparkling wine. You are then going to add the dosage, which is putting back in filler wine because you've lost a little bit during the disgorgement process. You also are putting in sugar if you're sweetening it, or any other additions for to stabilize the wine. After this, you're going to cork it and wire hood it. Because of the amount of pressure that's in the wine, you have to put the the wire hooder on in order to keep that cork in the bottle. The following graphic shows you the CO2 level as measured per bar, which is the atmospheric pressure at sea level. You have the carbon injection method, which has about 3 bar. You have the Charmat method, which has about 4 bar. And traditional method has anywhere from 5.5 to 6 bar. So you can see that there's a higher pressure buildup with the traditional method versus the versus the carbon injection method. This concludes my presentation. I hope you've enjoyed it and learning about the 3 main ways to make sparkling wine. Thank you.